Hi, Dav here, and today we have a new episode in the Art Review series, and today we'll be checking out the work of Azamat Khairov, or Mazarat, here on Instagram. I've actually seen this guy's work way back, but I think I found their work again on Twitter, or X, which did lead me to their Instagram page. So they have a very sort of graphic style. I think right now I'm thinking of guys like Michal let me just write her name, the Michal Sawtyruk something, because I think weeks ago I sort of did a batch, well, not a batch, but a couple of artists who have this sort of shapy style where all of the edges tend to be, this sharp, and a lot of their work seems kind of geometric in a way. So I would put Azamat or Mazarat in that category. And it almost feels like it feels less of a painting sometimes and more like a graphic design illustration sort of piece. But I think it's just the methodology, because you don't see the brushstrokes. It just feels less painted, but it is actually painted. If you see people who know how to paint with a lasso selection tool or a lasso fill tool, I think you'll be impressed with. It's still painting, but again, it's the approach that's so kind of unique. Like, you end up with this cut out kind of look. I call it the cut out like filter effect or look or style, just because it looks like a cutout filter was used. For those of you who use Photoshop, you know the cutout filter. It basically breaks down your image into like these simplified shapes. Like, it segments it to like these planes, which does have again a very shapy, geometric kind of vibe or look. And what's cool about this is you could actually feel the form more, just because of the planes. Now, the kind of downside, well, not downside, but obviously the more you do this, it's harder to use softer edges, just because it's not a big part of the technique. I mean, you can still use gradients and stuff like that, but it's just given the nature of selection tools, especially the lasso tool, you will have more of a piece. Like, most of your pieces will end up having this really sharp sort of edge. So if you're not into that, then don't. But I do recommend you at least try it, because it's a very nice way of it's sort of a happy medium between illustration or painting and graphic design. It just has that vibe. It feels very vector like. I mean, you probably could make vector art with this kind of approach in like Adobe Illustrator or something. But wait, I think Eclipse Studio Paint, you have vector layers too or something. No idea. But I guess you have more room for that kind of style when you have this, or you can do more vector art when you have this technique as your sort of thing. Wait, let me just let this load. Now, I did mention they do have an X or Twitter account, but I do recommend the Instagram, just because it has way more photos or images. I don't think the X is as updated. So yeah. I mean, even for these like pieces in the background themselves, they have like graphical elements too. So it's not just the illustration for the character themselves. It's sort of like these are the kinds of illustrations you would see like in a magazine. Why is this not loading? I'm trying to open it, but it's, oh my god. I'm trying to open it in a new tab, but it's, maybe the image is that big. But it's a cool, even if this may not be like your main style that you want to go for, I do think for practice, it's a good thing to at least try out, because you will get good at breaking down shapes when you do this. Oh my god, why it keeps... Okay, I think I opened it too many times, so now it's delayed. I'm so pissed. Oh my god. Oh, there are some soft edges. Let me just show you. Kind of here in the face, there's a little bit of a soft edge there. It's kind of hard to see from afar, but it's definitely there. Although they're very subtle, I think the main thing here is maybe they do that after. I'm not exactly sure what the technique is. But I guess for this kind of look, you would need to have a good amount of layers to manage these amount of shapes. Oh, another one would be like Lea Pinto. I think I reviewed her work weeks ago. Lea... Is it Lea Pinto? Lea Pinto? And a couple more. I'll try to find them and add them in the description below. Some recommended artists who kind of had the same style. Yeah. Look at the eyes. They're kind of simplified too. When I see styles like these, it shows you that you can simplify pretty much anything into basic shapes. Oh, Ling something also has this style. Ling 00 something. Yeah. Oh my god, it's taking so long to freaking load. Now what you can do too is once you've done the hard edges, maybe then you can add some or use like a blending tool or a mixer brush or something to blend out, soften some of those edges after. So I think that's a great way to sort of manage your artwork. Instead of doing it all at once, you can focus on one thing at a time. Shapes first and then soften some of those edges later on. Yeah, I think this is a very modern sort of looking style. And I think it's quite popular with... There's a show... I think it's about League of Legends. It's about I remember seeing it's a girl with like braids, blue hair. It's a popular show, but it has a similar style. Although it's in 3D, but if you look at the 2D concept art, it's kind of the same. Very geometric sort of look. Lots of like hard, sharp edges. And I think it's this style is quite common with games. I think the most concept art for games. Right? And with this limitation of tools, in this case the lasso tool or some kind of selection tool, like you have no choice but to equalize everything. Like you don't see the hair as kind of a different thing. Like the way the hair is rendered is it's pretty much the same way the skin is rendered, the clothing and stuff like that. So it kind of helps ease your mind a bit because you don't have to overthink stuff, because it kind of puts you in a spot where you have no choice but to just see shapes, because you're gonna have to use only shapes, right? But you could use like a selection tool, or you could also use just a basic hard brush to achieve this. There's an artist on YouTube. I'm forgetting her name. I think she's N something. She has like 2 channels. I need to find her name. But the way she does her work is she paints these strokes instead of using a lasso tool. I mean, maybe once in a while she'll use the selection tool, but a lot of her strokes are made from just a basic hard brush. It's kind of an ellipse brush, but no opacity at all. Wait, I know this chick. I think she's like an actress. Forgot her name, but I like the jacket. Can we zoom in? bad girl in green jacket. Oh, Jesus. I can see the insides now. Interesting. The only texture here is the... well, there's a bit of noise texture added in the end, but I think it's most noticeable in the background. However, in the character themselves, I think it's the halftone texture that's pretty much the only difference in there. And just looking at the halftones right now, some of them are like reversed in a way. Like this one, this part over here seems a bit reversed. So maybe they have a couple of halftone brushes. And yeah, their color choices is not too complicated. It's like all of the greens or yellow greens, it's all in the same area. And then you just have different values. Same thing for the skin, the stockings. You don't see a lot of hue variety in their work. But look at how as you zoom in, you can see some very subtle gradients. Like it gets darker here and then gets lighter in the other edge. So in some part, for example, for this guy over here, it's just a flat shape. So it's not everywhere, but I think it helps having those parts of like with the gradients. It just adds a bit more volume to your work. Even for this part over here, look at how this you see more like shapes broken down into these segments. But over here, maybe there are shapes in the beginning, but they found a way to soften this edge, either with a soft brush or some kind of blending tool or something. So, although it's like what 10%, 20% of the entire piece, most of it is just hard edged. So they're mainly focused on character art, like people. Wait, did I see the face? Oh yeah. Yeah, some of this one caught my eye earlier. I think it's because it's kind of simple. It's just a nice challenge to do, right? And it's not even a challenge. It's more of a test. Like, can you break it down to this level? Because I think when we have like so many brushes, or when you feel like we have to paint something, we sometimes overcomplicate it. And I think for because I've done a few practice sessions, and sometimes for some parts of the body, for example the eyes, I tend to draw it instead of see eyes as like shapes. For some parts of the body, I can see it as like a series of shapes, but for the eyes, for some reason I can't help but not draw it, and that kind of shows me that I'm not used to seeing eyes as a set of shapes. So I need to do more practice sessions where I try that. Oh, wow. Sorry. My bad. Coffee. Kazima. Christ. We got some graffiti in the background, but their brushwork is all just hard brushes. And gradients here and there. The hair is tricky because how do you draw the strands? But in this case, it's just two strands, one behind, one on the other side, and one right in front of you. But that's it. But I like how you can still see some parts of the face where it's a bit more reddish. Subsurface scattering, whatever, and you just tend to see a lot more pinks and reds in the skin. So I like how even though everything is like hard and flat, like you don't see a lot of textures, you can still feel like the fleshiness of the face. Because it kind of reminds me of that statue. It's like a model, an art reference model of this face, and it's broken down into planes. I'm not sure, I forgot the actual name for that thing, but that's what I think or that's what I visualize when I think of like hard-edged kind of illustrations. But 'cause, I feel like it's kind of cold, kind of almost statue-like. But I think Azamat here, or Mazarat, is able to still sort of convey a certain sense of aliveness in their work, even if their work tends to be geometric. So I think it's a very interesting balance to be able to pull off. And right, I've seen some gouache paintings that have a geometric look, because for quite a few gouache painters, or painters who just prefer using more opaque paints like gouache, they tend to focus on the planes of the face as well, or for pretty much anything. But so you will see the stroke sort of go along with the forms of the face. But in this case, the stroke is not. It's not like it's not a typical brush stroke that you would use with your styles. It's a selection, like a massing, right? And just looking at the face now, there is some abstraction here and there. Like it's not totally accurate all the time. I do see some soft edges here, right? I think having those, it does soften your image a bit, because everything here is going to be like hard, sharp. So you gotta have something to tone things down, or to not to like balance. Balance doesn't always mean like 50-50, by the way. It just means something has to counter that proportionately. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's like 50-50. It really depends. For example, in this case, as you go further out, you see less shapes, number one, but you also see less of those soft edges. Maybe you see a little bit here in the bottom of the chest, some parts in the shoulder, but it's so minimal. You see a little more in the face. So, and focusing on the eyes, I like how they're able to simplify the eyes in shapes again. Like if you focus on, let me just zoom in. If you focus on each chunk, oh fuck. Let's bring out my pen here. Look at how like this is a shape, this is a shape, this is a shape, this is a shape. This will eyelash or lashes the shape. It's so cool. Even the under shadow for this like eye thing. Pretty cool. Again, you have like a shape here for the eyebrows, but I think within that they used maybe a clipping layer or something, or a clip layer, or they locked the pixels for this specific eyebrow and then they painted these shapes within that. You see like a soft edge here as well. Very interesting. And I like how the hair is simplified too, right? It's a very cool style. Now this one definitely has a lot more like hue variety, I think. Like subtle hue variety. Compared to say some of like this one, it's a bit more direct. Like this one feels like, oh wow, let me just let's move on to a different one. I do recommend you check out their Instagram page. I will link this page, by the way, in the description below. But this one definitely has a lot more like skin tones into it. It's kind of like this one, the face, where it feels a lot more fleshy despite the geometric shapes. It just, oh, can we just scroll down? Wait, is this Russian? No idea. But look at the amount of shapes in the belly. I think that's pretty cool. And if you don't know how to do this, my recommendation is just bring a photo into Photoshop and use the cutout filter, and you will see how that photo will still look kind of good with that filter on. And you can change like the parameters or whatever within that filter. because sometimes you can add more shapes, add less shapes, add more values, add less values, and that it would still make the image kind of work. And I remember seeing like a tutorial somewhere, concept art kind of tutorial. Basically, like you have one image, and your job is to create three versions of that image. One image is just white and black only, so 2 values. The other image, you try to break down that image into maybe 3, and then the other image you use 4 values or 5. So it helps you sort of see how you can break down something in these level of values. So I think it's a great exercise. Oh, in this case, they did blur the background a bit. Well, not a bit, a lot actually. And like other images they've had, they do add some noise for the background. I don't see any noise texture in the character themselves. I like it. So cute. Kawaii. And like you can really feel the volume, the structure of the face. Just because of how the different values are, well, like placed. And now the trick is when you do this kind of technique, like how do you not overwhelm, like make it too overwhelming? Because the more you add shapes, the more it can clutter the face. It's kind of like line work. Like the more you add lines to a face, unless they're old or something, or they have like many scars, it can make it not look as good. So how do you, like, when do you stop adding shapes? I think in this case, because seeing this image from afar, I think it's the contrast isn't too high between each value. That's why it's not too striking. Like the values are fairly close to each other, unless it's like the like this part of the like this eye is kind of dark, the under part of the nose, the lips, the eyes, like those are pretty dark, and the eyebrows. But everywhere else, the values are not too strong in terms of contrast. So when you see it from afar, it's a little more, it feels smoother in a way, even though you know it's like not smooth. Oh wow, let's just scroll down. There you go. Oh wow. Yeah, these ones, I feel like these are more like character designs. Like it's very different, like the way they approach these types of illustrations. It's very different from how they approach these types of illustrations. These ones, they tend to become more like paintings, like these types of portrait studies or whatever, just because a lot more softer edges, a lot more nuance. I think there tends to be a lot more hue variety here and there, a tad more, not too much, than say these types where it's a bit more shapy or basic, because I think they're showing off more of the design rather than like the illustration type of vibe. Because for these shots, I think they're very influenced by photography as well. I'm guessing that's a reference photo, but it's more like close-up shots, and it's a lot more emotional than say these types. I guess this is his setup. Oh, I want to see their setup. Can we zoom in? Oh my, it's okay. Today is another one of my birthdays. Time goes by fast. There's a lot more to draw and do. I am grateful to everyone who cares and is interested in me. Thank you. Well, happy birthday. 177 weeks ago. Wait, let me just translate. Is this Russian? Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just interested seeing Oh yeah, look at that face in the background. That kind of head model. It's also geometric, so I'm not sure what you call that, but so I guess they do have that model in mind as well. And maybe that helps them with breaking down the face, right? It's good to have like these models around. With it, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be like a physical model, but you can have like a 3D model of it in your like iPad or something or phone. But the point is, it's nice to be able to have like a guide as to how you can break down the face into these planes. I think this is Cintiq, because that stand that's holding up the tablet, I think I've seen that with the Cintiq, so I'm wondering, does it wobble? Because I have a stand too. You can see me now. You can see that. You can't see the stand, but I have one in mind that I'm using, but it still wobbles. It doesn't wobble as much as say when I use my tablet with the monitor arm, but it still wobbles. So it kind of makes recording kind of hard. So I'm thinking for these types, it's just maybe the tablet is that heavy that when you draw on it, it doesn't wobble. It doesn't bother me when I'm drawing, but when I'm recording, I hate seeing that wobble. You know, the tablet just moving back and forth. It's so annoying. Anyway. Oh wow. Oh, look at the edges here. As we go further out in this part, they definitely softened it up. Mixer brush, maybe. As much to... Oh, they added like a white... some kind of highlight in the edge contour of this face. Not all throughout, it's just like the face. It kind of stops in the bottom of the chin and in the top of the hair, but I like it. Yeah, so I guess that's it for this art review of Mazarat. I'm not even sure if I've done a review. Maybe I have. Maybe I have done an art review of this guy in the past. I'm not even. Oh, I remember seeing this before. I think on Pinterest somewhere. Super hot. And I like how they use graphic elements in the background too. Like there are things outside of the illustration that can help boost the actual illustration. Some design elements, some graphic design, some basic backdrops or some kind of filters as well. So I think it's something we should not ignore as artists, because it's a lifesaver. Like sometimes I feel like quitting a piece, but if I just make certain adjustments, the illustration, the thing I'm making isn't even that bad, right? When I do apply those elements, that's not really like illustration related, but yeah, because it really makes the shirt pop, because the shirt is obviously white, right? So it just brings out more of the character, I think. I like the halftones too. It's so hot. And I do see some lighting, some blue lighting somewhere above her a little bit, because I can see it on her forehead, on top anyway. Kind of behind her as well. Yeah. So that's it for this art review. I will see you in the next one. Yep. Bye.